There's not a lot to say about this one. It's just one of the best films. I like how different stormtroopers look. Lucas has said that the first movie is seen through the eyes of the two droids. And this is where we first see Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by Sir Alec Guinness. Right now he goes as Old Ben Kenobi. And this is the first time that he gives Luke his lightsaber. Also, he mentions the Clone Wars for the first time. The scene is legendary. It sets up the character of Darth Vader, Governor Tarkin, played by Peter Cushing, who was famous for his role as Van Helsing in the Hammer Dracula movies from the 70s. Obi-Wan slicing another arm off. And here we see Han Solo and Chewbacca for the first time. In the movie, this scene is iconic. The cantina scene. They negotiate a price. Greedo comes along. Tries to shoot Han. Two scenes have convinced me that this is first Greedo shooting first, and then this guy here. I have a feeling that this is a remake, like a special edition version. I never checked. but I don't think that the original version includes those scenes. Yeah. Java here. Looks like, yep. It's definitely special edition stuff. I never noticed. Go to warp drive. There's not a lot to say that hasn't already been said about this movie. Apparently it's a remake of Akira Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress. Anthony Daniels, C-3PO. He's always C-3PO. Whenever you see someone plays a voice of C-3PO, it's always Anthony Daniels. That goes for the audio dramatizations, the cartoons. I guess the only times that it's not C-3PO is when there's an audiobook and one narrator is reading for all of the characters. In those instances, I guess it's not Anthony Daniels. C-3PO in this scene reminds me of, or rather, when I see a character like Jar Jar Binks, I'm reminded of this scene in episode 4 of the original movie, and how pathetic C-3PO was, almost useless. So, when I think of it like that, characters like Jar Jar Binks don't seem that out of place. I always liked Han Solo in this scene. We're getting close to the lightsaber duel. I think this is the first time in the movie that you hear the Star Wars theme outside of the opening credits. The Imperial March is not in this movie. A lot of the most iconic things that people associate with Star Wars are not even in this movie. That's not to say that this movie doesn't have a lot of things that people that are very iconic, like the very first lightsaber duel. This is the first on-screen lightsaber duel. The lightsabers were colorized in later versions. I believe in 1977, every lightsaber was white. And this is supposedly the first time in the Star Wars universe that we see someone die with the Force. They just kind of disappear and become one with the Force. And this is the scene in the movie where someone screams out "no." The word "no" is screamed out in every movie. And they escape the Death Star. And it's easy to forget just how scary it was the first time you watched this movie, especially if you were a child. The Death Star itself looks so intimidating. The Millennium Falcon looked amazing the first time you watched it. It still does. I like the design of the ship. Now that Luke loses his mentor, he has to go out and fulfill his destiny on his own. This scene was always fun. Apparently it was sliced together. The storyboard for the scene was just old reels of World War II pilots having dog fights. It's supposed to be a throwback to that. Not sure if I explained that correctly. You gotta wonder how Kurt Russell would have been as Han Solo. And then you see that Tarkin and Vader plotted a homing beacon on their ship so that they could find out where the rebel base was. And at this point, you're not sure if Leia's gonna end up with Han or Luke, or either of them, really. Weird love triangle. And now they're on Yavin 4. We find out that the Musashi Temple, we don't find that on this movie, but what we find out about it is that it's an old Sith place of worship. Exar Kun, when he was exiled to Yavin, to the fourth moon of Yavin, he enslaved the natives, and I think they built that temple as a shrine to him. And later on, the soul of Exar Kun would be trapped in the temple. You don't find out about it in this movie, though. It's just a fun fact. Also in later video games, and you go back to the temple, Luke makes the Musashi Temple the first Jedi temple since the end of the Empire. And that's the reason why they can't stay there. They find out that the soul of an ancient Sith is there, and he's corrupting students and stuff. In the video game Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcasts, there's this awesome part where your character is learning the Force from Luke, and he's being trained in the Musashi Temple. So, I love that video game. It was awesome going through those scenes, learning how to use the Force in the video game. Your character gets to see the inner workings of the temple. I think pretty soon. I wonder if I missed the part with Biggs. I might have been talking over it. Just get the page. Like the X-Wing, the Y-Wing. This scene was always really tense. I watched this movie for the first time in gifted class in elementary school. My teacher had put it on. Before then, I didn't really get Star Wars. I would see it on TV, and I saw like little glimpses of it. I didn't really get it. I wasn't sure what the differences were between Star Wars and Star Trek. And then I had a couple friends that insisted. They got me really into it. They got me like ready to watch, and that was just the best movie experience I've ever had. Nothing's ever come close. I just love Star Wars. Always have since that moment on. I guess the main difference between Star Wars and Star Trek is that while Star Trek is hard sci-fi, there isn't really any science fiction in Star Wars. It's more of a fantasy novel or a work of fantasy set in space. An easy way to tell if something is science fiction or not is whether or not it has magic. If magic is involved, then it's fantasy. It's not science fiction. It's just science fiction has a way of explaining everything, so it all seems plausible. Which is good, and in recent years I've gotten into Star Trek also. I appreciate it. I realize that I do like science fiction, and I do like fantasy, and there's no reason to pick one over the other. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just Luke. You can do it. Rogue Squadron 2, it's a good video game also. You get to play this scene in the movie. Luke is screwed at this point. His father was the best pilot of the Clone Wars. I hope in Rebels we see more of Darth Vader on his X-Wing, doing a little more flying. Look forward to seeing that. This part's so tense. It's amazing how they glossed over half the movie, I feel, but this scene almost gets frame by frame. There we go. Oh no, they lost our two. Covered Tarkin. Recently, we've been seeing him a lot in Clone Wars and Rebels. He's gotten his own novel. And here they go glossing over the rest of the movie again. So, that one is my second favorite Star Wars novel. Movie, excuse me. It's an excellent film. I can recite most of it word for word. But still, my favorite one is The Empire Strikes Back. I'll never forget how I felt when I first saw this one. These are my two favorite movies. So, see you next time as we go into Empire.